Welcome back, everyone. In today's video, we are building a 50s style diner. Now, this kit is currently available on my website at jasonjensentrains.com. And if you are a paid Patreon member, you receive a discount on the kit. Let me show you some pictures of it quick. All right, this looks like a pretty small, easy kit, but it takes some patience, so let's get to it. Okay, first, let me go over everything that you get in the kit. You get your pre-cut windows, the sign supports for the rooftop, the back wall and the side wall, a roof card, another roof card, the base, which includes the sidewalk, and the sign, the storefront, or the diner front, that entire sheet. And then detail parts. You get a air conditioning unit for the roof, 3 vents for the roof, a mailbox, and a fire hydrant. Basically, this is what it ends up looking like. Okay, now we're going to build this and completely paint it. Okay, we're going to start with this piece right here. And we're going to cut out all of the pieces. By the way, this is the test model, and this is probably the 4th one that I put together. The tricky part was the curve and making sure that everything fit properly. All right, we'll get all this cut out. And then the first thing we're going to do is paint the sidewalk. Now there is another piece on here that we'll use later. So set that aside. Now let's cut these all out. Okay, set these pieces all to the side. Now let's get a gray primer sprayed on this. Before we spray this with a primer, I just want to make sure that it's nice and smooth, so I'm going over it with a small file. Don't want there to be any little nubs from where we cut it out of the sheet. Okay, now we can spray it. Now, if you want to, you can put cracks in the cement. Right on the corner there, we're going to paint the curb red. And I'm using a dark red called French wine. Now we'll take some pastel and we know that the front door is right in between those two notches. I'll show you on the model. Okay, now we can move on to the structure. Okay, for the structure, we're going to need 4 walls. The first wall is right here. Now don't glue that yet. It's just temporary. Now there's a side wall, and then the back wall and the other side wall. Those are wood. We'll quick cut those out. So we have our back wall that goes right here, and this side wall has a vent that will go in there eventually. That goes right there. And all of these walls get glued on top of the base. Now we need one more wall, and that is right here. That'll go right there. Notice it sticks out further than that tab. And this side is flat. Same with this side. You can see it sticks out a little further past the tab. And this side is completely flat. Save all of your pieces. Don't throw anything away. This you can throw away. Be very careful. I just made a slight mistake. You can see when I cut that, it's a little rough. So now the reason that happened is because I'm not using a brand new blade. So let me quick get a brand new blade. Okay, brand new. Very important, because let me show you. Those edges show, and you can see there's one under it. And there's one up on the top. Those edges show, so you want them to be nice and smooth. Okay, what should we do first? Let's work on the wood walls. Okay, I just sprayed these walls with vintage teal. This is going to be the main color of our diner. Now we're going to add nail holes. I've already marked, it's every 1/2 inch. By lining it up using the lines on your mat, you can keep your lines straight. Okay, now If you want to, you can lift some of the boards. Now, real quick, we're going to go over the walls with murky brown. I'm not going to go too heavy because I don't have any bracing on the back and I don't want them to warp. In the kit, I will provide some bracing so that you can just simply glue some strips on the back. That way it won't warp. Okay, I have cut some bracing. Let's see. This is, well, it's the same height as the wall, slightly shorter. Okay, now I want that one. This one has to be in. Now at home, you should do this first. At least before you stain the wall. You can spray paint it first. Add your nail holes, lift your boards, but then before you add your stain, put your bracing on. Yeah, you want this back. Let's put it back, say, an inch. Put it back 1 inch. Okay, on this one, we're going to put it all the way to the edge, right next to that vent. Okay, then on this one, we'll come back 1 inch. So remember, come in the thickness of the bracing on that side. I put them right next to the door, and I came in 1 inch. Then this one all the way to the edge, and come in 1 inch. And these will fit together like that. And that makes up the back corner. Okay, we're going to set these to the side. And we're taking these two walls and we're going to cut out the whole front of the diner. Now we have to cut out the windows and these long rectangles. Take your time, go right next to the cut line so that you don't have to file any little tabs. Okay, there's really no need to save these little rectangles unless you want to save them for another project. But you can see the rectangles are cut out. Now we'll carefully cut out the windows. You'll see I just cut all the tabs at the top. Now we'll do the tabs at the bottom. Again, you don't need to keep all these little squares unless you want to use them for another project. Okay, we're going to spray this entire piece with the teal color. But while we're painting that, let's go ahead and paint this too. Okay, we'll go ahead and paint this. Make sure quick though that there's no little nubs. Very carefully. You don't want to bend it or break it. Be very, very careful when filing this. Let me go spray these quick. Okay, our two pieces are painted and dry. Now this one, there's two options. You could spray these both off-white. I'm going to spray the lower section off-white, and the top section I'm going to spray red. And I will show you. You can see inside those rectangles, those can be white, and then that checkerboard pattern, it can be white also, or you can make it red. Again, I'm going to spray the bottom part white and the top part red. Okay, as you can see, I sprayed it. This is dry. I actually did 3 thin coats. And that is just simply because I didn't want it to look like cardboard. The first coat, it really soaked in and it still looked like the material. And the second 2 coats really sealed it. And I'll show you the spray paint that I'm using. But it's a satin finish. So I think it's going to look really nice. Okay, now what we need to do is I'm just being very careful because I think it's dry, but I just don't want to risk getting any fingerprints on it. Okay, I'll let these dry a little bit longer, and then we're going to mask off the lower part and paint the top part red. Okay, so I laid them on there. Okay, for the white, I used this right here. And for the red, I used this Krylon Banner Red, and it's gloss. So I will show you quick what this looks like. There's a white one that gets put behind this, and I should have painted it. It's this piece right here. The flat side goes right there. The side that has the tab that's set back, it goes there. So I'm going to go ahead and spray the front of this with that white. Now there's another piece. This piece goes behind it on this side, but it doesn't show. But again, it's flat on the end, and there's the tab that's set back. It goes there. I'll show you that again when we glue that together. But let me spray the front of this one white. You know, I forgot before I painted these, but you want to file these to make sure that there's no raised little nubs. Very important, because they all fit into little slots, and you don't want them to be slightly raised or not fit properly. And again, I'll put this in the instructions, but the front of this wall is determined by this side is flat. This side, those tabs are set back. You can always tell by test fitting. See, this side is completely flat. Same with this. I won't put it in there, but this side flat. And this side you can see those tabs. But this side is flat. Okay, now what we need to do is glue this together. We're going to glue this on here like that, and then we're going to glue this one on here. Now you can take a brush and brush over it, but you want to spread that glue out. So you'll line up that edge. It's completely flat and flush. And then the bottom. The bottom is flush. So you'll see now you have those little white tabs at the bottom, and you have the two red tabs at the top. And that's what it looks like from the back side. Now really, yeah, it's already drying. What I should have done while that glue was wet on there, I could have cut out one of my windows and dropped it in there. We'll glue the windows in last. I think I'm going to try to curve this first before I glue the next piece on. See, already now that's lifting a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of super glue very carefully. Very carefully. Now we'll glue this on. Again, you're going to want to have it flush at this end and flush at the bottom with those little tabs sticking down. And then I am going to put a couple little drops of super glue. Now, I'm not going to put it in there yet, but it'll go like that. And you'll see this curves, and to help you to keep that shape, it's cut in the front. So that'll slide down in there. But first, what we need to do is get our windows glued in from the back, and then there's curtains that get glued in there too. Okay, here are the windows, and they're pre-cut. Now, this one at the top is shorter than these two. Hopefully you can see that. So the two that are by the oval are the same length. The one up on the top is slightly shorter. That short one goes in right here. First, make sure that it fits. I am just putting a very, very small drop of glue in the four corners. You know what? I'm going to do one in the center. Okay, now, carefully, without getting any glue on it, that one's glued in. Now, we'll do the two long rectangles. Now, I did get a little bit of glue, you'll see, in the corners. So, I'm taking a clean brush. Okay, real quick, we're going to add just a little bit of rust at the bottom, or dirt. Not much. Okay, I think that's it. Just a little bit along the bottom. And then we'll take some pastels and add a little bit more dirt and grime. I've cut my curtains. I have two for these windows and one for this window. And they just get glued on the back. They're not right up against the glass. They just get glued on there, and so you might want to first, with a pencil, mark half the window. So the window is a 1/2 inch tall. So we'll put a mark at the quarter. They're so close in size, I wanted to make sure that I had the correct one. And let's go over the edge of this quick. This is a gray number 2. Just so it doesn't look like paper. Real quick, before we glue this, I just want to go over the edge of those tabs. Especially since it's got some paint on it now. And we can do the back side a little bit. It'll just make it easier to slide them into those slots. Now start at this end. It does take some finessing. Alright, and then we'll just hold it there for a little bit. Got that glue set up. Making sure we're adding some pressure to it. Now if you want to run a bead across the back to really secure it, you can. You could put a floor in here and a bar with stools, tables, and little booths along the window. There's plenty of room inside here to do a full detail of a diner. All right, let's just leave this now and let it dry. And then we're going to have to come back in. It's not hard, but we need to put some glue in there and then install that window on the curved part. Okay, let's get our two back walls glued in place. So it goes right up against the back side of that front wall. Okay, now we have to put a little piece of corner trim on that corner, and then you can take a brush and paint that either your teal color on both of these sides or white if you're going to do white trim. Okay, I just made a wash using burnt sienna and some water. I even did a little bit up on the top. Okay, next we need to paint this the teal color, and that gets glued on there. And again, it's a little tricky. You have to line up your tabs, and then that curved section, there's a cutout for it. Let's see. You know what? Actually, we could paint that red. And then there's another one that gets put on the top. Yeah, let's paint this red. Okay, that's painted red. And really you just have to do the edges. Now these tabs, we need to glue that window in. Now we're going to go on the back side, across the top and across the bottom. Now, take our little piece. I don't know if you can see this. We're going to start at one side and lay it in there. So we just smeared glue above it and below it, and then snap that in place. Let's get our curtain put in there. Okay, we're going to put glue on this side and this side. We can't forget to go over the top of it. We'll bend it a little bit. I did get some glue in the corner there, but I think it's going to dry clear because it's white Elmer's glue. Not as tricky as I thought it would be. I should have cut the piece longer. It's almost right to the edge on both sides, and if you cut it longer, it gives you more room to sort of move it around in there. Okay. Now, I forgot there's overhang on the side and the back, and I should have painted the whole thing red. Oh well, I'll have to do it with a brush. We'll quick take our French wine. It's a little darker. That's okay. It's in the back. But if you're doing this at home, keep that in mind. You're going to want to paint that entire piece red. All right, I'm not going to make you watch me paint this all red. So I'll get this painted red, and then the next piece we have to put on is this. Okay, now let's... I got such a mess going here. We're going to set that aside. We're going to cut this one out. Again, take your time. Make a nice clean cut because that edge shows. The tabs are really small on here, and I did that on purpose so you wouldn't have to cut much. Then we'll cut this out. Okay. This gets painted red on both sides. These pieces are done. They're white. This gets teal on both sides. And this is for the top. So what happens is this piece be very careful when you put those in. Okay, then this piece gets wrapped around and glued to it. Again, we have to bend our corner and it gets glued down in there. Then once that's all on there, this trim gets glued on top just like that. So we want to build all of this first, then glue it on top. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is paint both sides of this with the teal. I found that if you file the edge and make it really light, it paints better, opposed to if you just leave it that dark color. So just simply take your file, gently, don't scrub it too hard. Okay, next we have to paint some trim. And I'll show you on the model here. There's a piece that runs along the top of the windows and a piece that runs below the windows, all the way around. And you'll notice the trim above the door has a little notch, so you know where the door goes. We're going to paint these silver. So here's the piece that goes above the windows, and you'll notice the little notch for the front door. Then we have a small piece that runs below the windows right here, and then this one runs below the windows and wraps all the way around. So let's get these painted silver. Okay, I've done a little bit of weathering. I did a wash up on top here. I figured that'd get pretty dirty. I did some sponging along the edge. Did some rust colored pastels. Okay, now I just built the sign. Pretty easy. You can see these the legs go all the way to the top. Okay, I'm going to put a gray primer on this, and also I'm going to spray all the detail parts with a gray primer. Okay, for the sign we have 3 pieces. Well, 4 if you count the support. So you have this one. We paint that entirely white. And then I did a gray primer and some rust on the back. Then we have this one, all red. And then D, N, and R. Already. I think I want those letters in there to be white. Yeah. Yep, I want those letters to be white. So, not a problem. We're just going to mask that off. Okay, I'm going to go and spray that white. Okay, I painted those squares white, and now I'm just gluing on the letters. Now, I did not put glue on these thin little pieces, and I can now cut those out. You could leave them if you wanted to. I could leave the ones that go straight across. Now, I think we'll do a little bit of rust, just a little bit. Okay, I just glued it on. So you can see the support is centered right underneath the N. Now, let's glue it on the roof. And we want to center it. That center post is going to be right above that door. Okay, to finish our model, I want to do some dry brushing with silver. and I just want to hit the edges. Just lightly dragging it across the edge. Makes it look like metal's showing through. Okay, the model is finished. This is what's really fun for me, to see this that I drew in the computer, and then to be able to make it look like this. It's such a thrill every time. And again, every single detail is included in the kit. Now, of course, you could make yours look brand new without any rust or chipping. It could look brand new. And I think this would look good on almost any layout. I hope you enjoyed today's video. This was such a fun build. I truly loved designing and building this kit. Just incredible. And like I'd mentioned in the video, the inside is large enough where you could fully detail it and have booths in the front, right inside the window, a bar with little bar stools, a little kitchen. It's big enough inside to make a full-size diner in it. Well, you know what I mean. All right, well, thank you all so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. And again, this kit is available at jasonjensentrains.com. And like always, a huge, huge thank you to all of my Patreon members. And if you are a paid Patreon member, you receive a discount on this kit. And the discount code can be found on my Patreon page at patreon.com/JasonJensenTrains. All right, again, thank you all so much. And thank you all for the tremendous support. Truly appreciate it. All right, well, until next time, stay motivated and happy modeling, everyone.